Hello, everyone.
Good evening, all.
How y'all doing? Oh, I'm sorry. Wait a minute. We were supposed to do the hello and welcome to DnDTime Brews, but we're not doing that today.
I think we can live without it. I'm Pete. It's good to see you all. I'm excited to start brewing some stuff. There's a little bit of a scramble behind the scenes coming up to these last couple moments, but yeah, I'm excited to get going, Jeremy.
Behind the scenes, they had no idea.
No, you said
everything. It. Oh wait,
you already said it in the chat.
Whatever. I see we got a bunch of guys hanging out. Hey there, Hunter and Wolf 777. Good to see you. Also, of course, good to see you, the Forgotten One, and the Flannel Plug. The Forgotten One. I just want to say your name is very ironic here because we very rarely forget you.
So Jeremy, what are you drinking
tonight? I'm drinking a delicious Kraken rum and Diet Coke. I'm a health nut today.
Was that actually a health?
No, it was not. That was just my girlfriend prefers Diet Coke, and I kind of do too, actually.
Fair enough.
How about you, Pete? What are you drinking?
I got the Samuel Adams Summer Ale. It's pretty good.
All right. Well, for those of you unfamiliar with DnDTime Brews, this is a bi-weekly. Bi-anythingly is like a really weird statement because it doesn't happen twice a month. Does it happen every other? In this case, it happens twice a month. Show where Pete and I sit down with you, the chat, and we brew up some cool homebrew content for Pete and Jeremy's D&D time. In the past, we've done races, items, subclasses, and all sorts of crazy stuff. We're going to tackle spells at some point, but today we are tackling the and more segment of DnDTime Brews with some silly monster ideas. So it should be interesting.
Yeah. Jeremy has built a pretty. Are we showing that on stream? Yeah, we're doing that, right?
We're showing it, of course. Yeah,
Jeremy built a pretty elaborate CR calculator to help us balance these things correctly. So it's pretty cool.
I'm really excited to see how Pete and I's balance brain comes up against the calculator, right? Want to see what we think it is, and then we put it in and be like, oh wow, whoopsies.
And I think there's
that'll
I was gonna say I think there'll be some give and take between the calculator telling us that we're insane and us disagreeing with the calculator.
Yeah, well, it should be fun no matter what. And
absolutely.
Of course, and Flannel Pug, I'm really glad you're awake, bud. I know working the graveyard shift can be rough. I haven't had to do it personally, but I've worked some pretty long days in the past. So you know what? I'm glad you're feeling good. Bud. As always, when we go and we come forward with a bunch of random ideas, like we do with items, and we're doing now with monsters, we've kind of come up with a bunch of ideas. You can see them on the screen here. I think what we're going to do is we're going to go through each of these, and Pete and I will kind of chat about them and see what we come up with. Put a straw poll out for the stream for you all to vote on. And that will kind of decide which ones we decide to go through and really stick to. That sounds like a good idea to you, Pete?
You know what, Jeremy? That sounds like an incredible idea to me. Do you want to make the straw poll, or should I?
Pete, I've already completed the straw poll.
Delightful. In that case, let's... do you want to go over them and then begin the poll, or start polling while we're going over them?
Talk about them first. We can't let people make uninformed decisions. Oh, I should probably put a stream call out in chat. Everyone now in the chat now knows on Discord we started streaming. Let's start talking about these beasties.
So, Jerry, what do you have in mind with influenza?
So, influenza is I thought of actually an entire adventure or maybe even series of adventure after these horrible sicknesses. And influenza, the influenza virus, is notorious. Everyone knows about the flu. And I figured it would be really cool to have a personification of the influenza virus, just a rapidly spreading, kind of maniacal. I imagine it kind of very polyhedral, with lots of different corners and shapes and stuff. and spewing out lots of poison and acid and all sorts of terrible things. So I don't know how this would exist in D&D time, but I imagine basically if the influenza virus, instead of being tiny, was a creature and was not gigantic, but like man-sized, I think it'd be really kind of radical. Also, hello, the Fox in the Box. Welcome to the stream.
Oh, hey, Fox. Yeah, sounds pretty cool.
I just think it'd be cool, right? I mean, I can already think of like a dozen ways I could tie this into D&D time. But it's almost like the alien invaders in influenza deal, right? Influenza attack.
No, yeah, I can absolutely see it. So yeah, just moving right down the line. Do you want to do the ones that we came up with, or do you want to just go through them? Another peek behind the scenes. A lot of these ideas we've done just before the beginning of the stream. So this was a lot of stream of consciousness stuff. Well, I was going to say that because specifically because Frog said, I see one of my mentioned creations, the licorice lynx. Yeah, if I took that from something you said, I actually wasn't thinking it was one that you'd came up with. It was just must have been still sitting in my brain from before. So
you have
that's why we got
put it into Pete's psyche.
Indeed.
Cannot help but know.
But yeah, so do you want to just go back and forth on these? I'll do the boozers.
Yeah, I mean, I figure we can go in any order, so you can start with the ones. Yeah, whatever.
All right. The Boozoos was based off of I think an item that we did two brews ago, which was the Ooze Booze, which was a beverage that one could drink that would give one the properties of an ooze. I think when Jeremy came up with this one, it was the inverse of that. It is an ooze that has the properties of booze. So could be fun. I think it's going to be a pretty goofy one. Yeah, this will be a goofy one if we do that one.
Yeah, the next one is the Sugar Rush Giant, a creature well at home up in Big Rock Candy Mountains. Some players may be familiar with the Sugar Rush zombies, small humanoid undead that are prominent in the region, having gone mad with their sugar cravings, all their teeth rotted out, and now thirst for any even remote little bit of sugar, including human blood. I assume the Sugar Rush Giant is just a giant one of those, and maybe we can run off of some other cool features it might have. I don't know. I haven't really thought about it too much. It could be cool, though.
Yeah,
and I see Fox in the Box asking in chat, do we get to suggest monsters? I think maybe not this time around, because this time we're going to go off this list just to get a vibe for how it kind of rolls. But maybe the next time we run this, we'll go completely off audience or viewer kind of suggestions and roll from there. It might be interesting.
Yeah,
just
I think that would be a lot of fun.
A little more structure for us is going to help, so we don't get totally lost.
Yeah, we're figuring this one out ourselves. Cool. The next one I wanted to talk about was the let's talk about the Recyclops, because I didn't know what you had in mind for the next couple. The Recyclops, a giant cyclops that loves to recycle, likely stays at the recycling plant in the dump and is an ally of the Dapper Drake, a character that was seen once a long time ago, which that is one of Jeremy's characters, the Dapper Drake. Would you care to do the Dapper Drake voice just very quickly?
Pete, I don't think I got. Yeah, yes. I'm Dapper Drake. Get him, boys.
The Dragon of the Roost is, I believe, his nickname. So it would be it would be a Cyclops that has recycling-based powers, perhaps. Who knows? Could be fun, though.
Oh, right. It's my turn.
Yeah.
I was writing, but then... the next one on the list, the Swamp-born Angler. This is a creature I thought would be really neat because I wanted something that felt uniquely Baradak. But the Baradak Swamp is really characterized by, like, the frogs that live there, but also Clinton Slaughter Murder, who's just kind of him and his tower. So I wanted to stick with that kind of frog theme, and my thought is it's a creature that, like, it lurks beneath the swampy muck and has, like, lily pads that stick up on the top, and then when creatures step on the lily pads, it attacks them. and it kind of leeches up. Maybe it has a bunch of
Oh, so
tentacles
it's
and the
sort of
lily
an
pad on the
angler,
side.
sort of an angler fish,
Exactly.
but with a lily pad instead of the light. I think that's pretty cool.
Exactly. Maybe it's got a big bug in the middle that's kind of like doing stuff.
I
And it
really
traps
like
the
that one.
frogs and gets them. So I imagine it's a very large creature that hides completely submerged within the swamp. I think that would be really cool because there's a lot of like, it's probably slow, but probably like very powerful and a lot of give and take, which could be a lot of fun.
Yeah, that sounds cool. Let's talk licorice lynx. I think it is exactly what it sounds like, and that is a lynx that is made out of licorice, which, if you could guess, it is most decidedly from the Big Rock Candy Mountains. Um, what I imagine it doing is it probably is like a lot of different strands of licorice kind of coiled up. And I feel like the licorice kind of lips out of it like a displacer beast, but that's not its ability. It kind of like grabs and ropes its prey in with like ropes of licorice and then eats them. And the things it eats are probably also candy because that's the environment it's in, and most things there are candy. Um, yeah, that's just a rough
Oh man,
sketch of what I had in mind for that creature.
I love the idea of it maybe having some kind of ability to like poison with the flavor, right? That'd be very interesting.
Oh yeah.
The next thing on my list, the 11th Street mob boss. I figured this would be deep beneath the waters of the Crimson Coast in the city of Tritanic. There'd be a mob of eels, or maybe the mob isn't made up entirely of eels, but it'd be a kind of mobster community there where the mob boss is like an eel man, or really he's just an eel. But I think that'd be really cool because we can roll off of some cool kind of like moray eel or electric eel kind of vibes that might be a lot of fun to play with, especially for a more humanoid creature. Plus, being a mob boss, he's got a more intelligent vibe to him. So we can give him some tactically sound features, maybe relating some of his mobster flunkies. What do you got, Pete? What's next on the list? I'm liking this one a lot.
Let's talk the math goblin divider. I imagine the math goblin divider, well, obviously is a math goblin, the arch enemies of the trigonomes of Sokotoa. But the math goblins' abilities, one of the fun things about designing math goblins, they get to have very kind of meta abilities. For example, a lot of them wield like the square daggers, which just deal squared damage. So if you roll a 1 on a square dagger, you deal 1 damage, but if you roll a 4, you square it to 16. So there's a lot of like kind of meta mechanics you can throw in. So maybe he has abilities that allow him to like divide himself into multiple copies, or divide opponents into multiple copies of themselves, or to decrease the size of things proportionally in some way. We could figure out how to interpret dividing as a mechanic, but could be pretty fun.
Yeah, I think the reduce spell would be really cool for that. Maybe we can figure that out later. The next one I have on the list is very straightforward. The super massive clam. It's just a really big clam that lives somewhere, again, deep beneath the waters of the Crimson Coast. Be an enemy to all of the Tritons, merfolk, and other sea elves and fish people that live down there. I don't know. I think it'd be cool to just like one just very generic. It's a big bad monster that's probably pain in the ass to kill from the outside, at least.
Yeah, fair enough.
Yeah.
The next one was the beetle entothrope. This would be a beetle that's an entothrope, which is an insect lichen. So it would be kind of a were beetle, so to speak. So I imagine it's a very kind of high armor class creature. Maybe it has some kind of like roll around thing, which I don't know if beetles are necessarily known for that, but it just sounds very fun to put on a big bug that kind of roly-polies around a little bit and can probably fly around. And it's just like a big beefy Beetleborg, big bad Beetleborg. So yeah, that's what I generally had in mind for that.
The Academy of Light Frat King. I'm going to leave the Hive Mort to you, Pete, because I know you feel very strongly. The Academy of Light Frat King, obviously a senior or upperclassman at the Academy of Light. This would be a really interesting one because we have a lot of like holy hijinks we can toss on with this guy. Some more divine abilities that maybe you wouldn't have on other kinds of creatures that you'd mostly see time. Maybe stuff like compelled duels or some cool, interesting magical features of the divine origin. Could be cool.
Yeah, advantage on parties.
Yeah, exactly. Lots of party themed features.
So, and the last one that we haven't talked about, the Hive Mort. This is a monster that I'm probably going to make if we don't make it today, regardless. But this is essentially what
dudes. These are all adventures right here. These creatures are adventure hooks.
That's pretty much, yeah. The Hive Mort is an adventure hook that I already had planned for the future, but thought we could just build here today. And it would be a collection of morts. For those who aren't familiar, Mort is the kind of principal mob boss of Central City, and what he's defined by is that all of his minions are kind of use illusion magic and different things to all look exactly alike, but they've also started spreading in other ways through like diseases that make people look like Mort. So you have no idea who's who in the organization, and then they can't like trace things back to him. So the Hive Mort would be just some failed attempt at making people into Morts, where they fused into one big conglomeration. Maybe like a Mort swarm that has some kind of ascended telekinetic abilities. I have no idea. I feel like there's a lot of things you could do with it, but we'll see if we end up going that route. But Pete, some kind of just hive mind.
It's almost like it's mortated. Like mutated.
This is okay.
No, that was a stretch.
That was anyway. Hey, you know what, Jeremy? There's no bad jokes here. That was great.
Anyway, I'm gonna put a straw poll out in the chat right now for all of you folks, where you can just kind of roll with what you want. Vote for whichever beasties you would prefer to see. I know I'm gonna cast my vote right now, and I think you can. You can only check one. Holy shit! I made this bad. That's okay though. So pick the one you really want to see.
Oh my god.
Oh man. This will really help to
want to redo and let us vote multiple? I mean, I feel like there's just not going to be the results.
Let me quickly make a different straw poll, guys. My bad. So Pete, you talk while I do this.
Okay, yeah. So while Jeremy's going to make a different straw poll, I'm gonna just say some really. Farfel says there are definitely bad jokes here. I disagree. I'm mortified that you feel that way, which I stole up above from Flannel Pug. Although that's the most classic of all Mort puns. Not
that there's anything wrong with stealing puns.
It's actually, I think it's right to steal puns, I would argue. It looks, Lumineer says, looks like the Licorice Lynx wins.
Yeah, at one.
I assume that the Licorice Lynx will be a popular one.
I hope so.
I suspect that. I was gonna say, I suspect that D Forgotten One will be voting for the Licorice Lynx. I mean, a licorice tentacle monster does sound like a fun, or the giant. I mean, giants are fun, and I like that kind of contrast with the Sugar Rush giant of it being a giant that's fast. That sounds very terrible. Like, that's the opposite of what you want a giant to be. You want the slow thing to kind of lumber at you as you kite it, but something that just like. All right.
There's a new straw poll link in the chat.
Wonderful.
That one allows you to vote for more than one creature. Please, quickly or slowly, however long you really want to take, start putting that together. And while you do, Pete and I, let's start talking through how we're going to roll with this. Also, I just want to welcome everyone else that I've noticed. I got a Psychopath, the Nerds Table, Sword Co here, Farfel, Luminary. Everyone's hanging out.
Everyone's coming to hang.
Jeez, I mean, if I missed you, I'm just blind. But yeah, geez, everyone's.
Also, if I could influence the wills of the masses, the one that I'm most excited about would be the Swamp Thorn Angler.
Oh, Pete, you're ruining everything. You're cheating.
I've said it now. The Swamp Thorn Angler sounds so rad to me.
Well, while we wait for those kind of results to go in, please. What was I saying? Yeah, just put your stuff in, let that go out, and we'll see what's going on. And meanwhile, let's talk about what we've got today. So first we scroll down a little bit, a very basic looking monster stat block where we're looking at the monster's name, its type, its subtype. These are very classic kind of layout. You're probably familiar with it. It doesn't look like it's straight from the monster manual because we can't make it that pretty because we're bad. But
Yeah.
overall, it still looks pretty nice. Where you got all
Yeah.
its features and all that good stuff. Area falls, abilities. And we'll just manually type that all in. And then once we've done that, we're going to jump over to a spreadsheet I've thrown together, which we're going to move over to now to look at. And this is, oh boy, this gets a little complicated. In the Dungeon Master's Guide, there are guidelines for balancing creatures based on their challenge rating. For every, well, the main thing in Dungeons and Dragons is creatures will all rely on a proficiency bonus. Their bonus to hit effects is related based on that, and a lot of their overall strength is related to this proficiency bonus. And proficiency bonus is based on challenge rating. So basically, oh boy, can we get a copy of that? The answer is not yet. We'll see what ends up happening with this. We might end up putting a copy out. We might not. I want to test it out a little bit more and get it cleaned up.
It's an alpha right now, so to speak.
Yeah, I put this together I hacked this thing together, despite the fact that it looks kind of nice. So you'd put in the desired challenge rating for your monsters, and because proficiency bonus is such a big deal in this game, the proficiency, the levels that really matter the most, that are the hardest to balance, are the challenge ratings where proficiency bonus changes. So a challenge rating 4 monster and a challenge rating 5 monster are really hard to balance, because from level 4 to 5, that's where the proficiency bonus increases from a +2 to a +3. And you can see here, if I put in a 4, proficiency bonus is +2. If I put in a 5, proficiency bonus changes to +3. That happens again at challenge rating, what is it? 9?
It's 5.
Yeah, 8 to 9. So from challenge rating 8 is 3, challenge rating 9 is 4, and that happens again at 13, 4, 12, and 13. 12 is 4, 13 is 5, etc. So these levels are the one that it's really hard to work out. Additionally, this spreadsheet and this method that is completely based on the Dungeon Master's Guide. Everything in the spreadsheet is in the Dungeon Master's Guide. Just putting that out there right away. Excel is awesome, Flannel Pug. It breaks down at low and high levels. For example, if you put the Tarask into this thing, it's going to tell you the Tarask is it's CR 18 or 19 or something. Which the Tarask is like a CR 25 monster. It's terrifying. Or CR 30.
Yeah.
So it doesn't work at the ultra high ranges. Likewise, if you put a goblin in here, which is a CR 1/4, it's going to tell you that goblin is CR2. And CR2 is that's not at all what a goblin is, because you kill a goblin in one hit. So
yeah, it underestimates the high ends of armor class and the low ends of health.
Exactly. So those are two very important things to consider when you're using the method in the Dungeon Master's Guide. I recommend, if you want to make a very, very low challenge monster, to just take one that currently exists and change it a little bit. Take a skeleton, is a great example. Remove the damage vulnerability to bludgeoning, and give it, change its attacks to be, instead of a scimitar, it has a longsword. Or instead of a short bow, it has a fire blast that does pretty much the same damage as a short bow. And reflavoring existing monsters. That's actually something that I know when I'm running a very low CR game, especially for new players, no matter what they run into, the stat block is goblin. Doesn't matter if they run into an ent in the forest that attacks them. That ent is, oh wow, this ent has the same stats as a goblin. That's weird. But they don't know that because they're new players. It's kind of that behind the curtain view. I used my own hit die chart based on the DMG for the HP of my monster. Yeah, Psychopath, there is probably a better, more optimized system than this, but at least for very low and very high levels. But this spreadsheet uses all of the exact mathematics that are laid out in the Dungeon Master's Guide. So anyone is able to kind of put this together, figure this out.
And I'm just going to link that straw poll one more time, give them just another couple minutes to vote. If you haven't already voted, click on the straw poll and tell us what you think.
That way, that'll be very important. It looks like we've got how many people voted.
Right now,
tell us how
it's
many
looking.
people.
Oh, it just tells us how many votes. Interesting. Right now, it looks like the Green Sun Health Inspector is in the lead.
Not what I
we'll
expected at all, but that'll be interesting.
Nor I.
So,
the thing.
Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
Did you have a guess on what was going to crush? Actually, the one that's in second is the one that I thought was going to be number one, which was the boozers.
Whoa. It says deleted link.
Oh, it showed up for me. Interesting.
Should not say deleted link. Does it show when I send it? That'd be funny if it just deleted Pete's links.
That's super weird if that's the case.
Try that in Sword. I will private. On my end, I can see it on the stream. That's very, very bizarre, Sword. Maybe it's a defense, not a defense, a thing that your thing has going on. I sent you a personal whisper with it. Cool. Anyway, as a quick walkthrough of how the spreadsheet works, you'll put in the desired challenge rating for your monster. So we'll say CR4. You'll put in the dexterity and constitution modifiers of your creature, or scores. The other ability scores really don't matter, and we'll talk about that when we're building monsters in balance. You'll put in the size and the number of hit dice, which is completely arbitrary. It determines their total health. You can just decide that. You'll put in what resistances and saves they have. You'll put in their armor class, and you'll put in how much damage they do and their bonus to hit. And that's really it. You'll talk about what traits, if any, they have and how that impacts it. But from those stats, it'll calculate what the CR of the creature is, and you can iterate from there. If you're saying, all right, this creature is way stronger than I want it to be, you can knock its health down a little bit, or knock its armor class down, or tweak it. But
tweak
otherwise,
the small details.
Pretty easy to work through. So let's look at the roles right now. All right, it looks like we're going to start with the Green Sun Health Inspector. Let's jump right in with that, Pete.
Yeah, let's just go right in. So to begin with, I think we want to fill out kind of what's on this chart first. So go through the basics. What CR do we want to shoot for?
That's a great question.
I feel like a Green Sun Health Inspector, I feel like it's something that there are more than one of. It's kind of a general, so I don't think it's crazy high. Do you want to shoot for something on the lower end to start with? Maybe like a CR 3, 4, 5, somewhere in that range?
Yeah, I'm trying to think. Where would we use a Green Sun Health Inspector?
I imagine it would be in Central City.
It could be
some
in Central
kind of
City.
restaurant.
It could be a Clinton Slaughter Murder adventure. It could be a whole bunch of different places. I guess you can vote multiple times. Please don't vote multiple times. But you can go ahead and vote for multiple monsters, which is totally
that
fine.
One's true. Yeah.
Exactly. So, Green Sun Health Inspector. Obviously, this is a medium humanoid. It's going to be like a humanoid person, as most of the Green Sun are. And subtype, does it have a subtype? I don't think it does. It's just a humanoid. Or it's
yes, medium humanoid.
Human, right? It's not an elf.
I think any humanoid would be the...
Oh, yeah, any humanoid.
And alignment will be...
very lawful evil.
Lawful evil. No two ways about that. Does lawful and evil get capitalized?
No, I do not.
I think not.
Capitalize those. They are lowered. All right. So we've got the very base there. Armor class. I guess that's the first question. How tough do we want this guy? Let's concept him a little bit more. Obviously, we're going to like the restaurant style. I think is good. So,
I'm picturing someone grocery stores, restaurants, food generally.
Mm-hmm. So maybe some cool food-based abilities. I like the idea of the Green Sun Health Inspector having abilities that impact you more if you are damaged, or impact you more if you are below half your health or something.
I like
punishing
the flavor of
you
that.
for having poor health.
Bloodied. Yes. I think that's perfect. I really love that.
In terms of armor class, I think this guy's got a pretty low AC. I think he's gonna just have a base armor class based on his dexterity. I don't think he's wearing cloth, right? I don't think he's wearing any armor. So We'll figure that out when we figure it out.
The only armor I think there might be is mage armor. Is the only thing I can imagine.
Oh, yeah. Would he have mage armor?
It's something I usually. I've made a lot of Green Sun cultists over the course of the many adventures. I usually give them mage armor.
Okay. So this is kind of a first interesting turning point for us, right? Is determining how tough do we want this creature to be? Do we want it to have a very offensive bent or a very defensive bent? If we give him a lot of health and high armor class, he's not going to do as much damage or be as threatening.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas if we give him, or give this creature less armor class or less hit points, we can put a lot more power into its strength, into its damage. Which, personally, I don't know if you've noticed in D&D time, Pete and I tend to make offensively bent creatures for D&D time. Things you can kill with relative ease, but that hit like a truck full of whales.
The reason being time constraints. There's usually not enough time to go through a really beefy monster, so we make them threatening by just having them get you real quick.
He's got a red ink pen and a clipboard, equivalent to a knife and buckler. Oh, I like that idea.
I think that's pretty cool.
So he's got a shield. I like that.
Definitely a clipboard.
But it counts as a shield. Let's be real.
Oh, yeah.
So let's say he's going to be a cultist. So he's going to probably have a high charisma or maybe a high intelligence.
It would be definitely not wisdom. I think the Green Sun cult definitely has. I think you get into some bad stuff at the cult. I think, especially as a health inspector, you would have a reasonable constitution if you're going into a lot of like dingy places.
Okay. So we'll put a little plus sign on. Whoopsies. I moved on the wrong button. We'll put a plus sign next to his constitution so we remember. And we'll put a plus sign next to what you think, int rather than charisma. I don't see them as super charismatic.
Yeah, I think intelligence is definitely the way to go.
Mm-hmm.
And
clothing and shield. Oopsies. This is the general format. Clothing and clipboard.
So yeah, for clipboard, they mentioned buckler. I feel like that's probably like not a full +2 big shield, probably like a +1 shield when we start getting in the nitty gritty.
Sure. Yeah, I think that's totally fine. Deals double damage to restaurant branding. Oh no. Yeah, so I think this guy's gonna come out to like, he's probably not all that dexterous. So maybe like a 13 dexterity. I don't think he's gonna be super high.
Yeah, I would have even been fine with just calling him a flat neutral, just an average.
Oh, just an average dude. All right. Yeah, I think that's fine. So he's got a +0. That's going to give him an AC of 10 by default, because armor class is going to be 10 plus your dex modifier, or just whatever you determine it is. And then he's got a +1 for his clipboard, and then a +3 for his mage armor.
And so +3 for mage armor, so 14.
So
mage armor clipboard.
Mage armor clipboard. Cool.
Yeah.
Awesome. Hit points. Well, he's going to have a D8 for his hit die because he's medium sized. And then
I actually didn't know that was how they did hit dice for the longest time. I found that out like a week ago that was how hit die worked.
Well, it doesn't matter all that much. It's a very arbitrary number. I don't know. Yeah. Let's have this guy. He's a CR. What do we say? 4? Is that what we want?
CR4. Is that
pretty tough?
That was my next question. Was how does that kind of correlate?
We just
in terms of hit die. Is that an arbitrary number of hit die that they choose, or is there like a certain hit die that? Okay.
The number of hit die is very arbitrary. It's based on your con modifier and whatever. So I mean, I think it's going to be somewhere around like 60-ish. Maybe a little more. Maybe a little less, a little more.
That sounds pretty good.
And we said he's going to have a high con mod, so maybe like a 17 or 18.
I mean, that's pretty high. I go 17 over the 18, I think.
Okay, so that'll give him a +3 to Constitution. So.
Yeah, that's pretty good. And I mean, that's a constitutional person right there.
I think he might be tougher than he is smart.
Yeah,
so
maybe a 16.
16, yeah. That'll give him some power from his ability score for his attacks, or spells in this case, and a pretty good
wisdom. I think he's probably.
Sorry, go ahead.
Or I was moving on to wisdom. If you want to do strength first, we can do that. Strength, I don't see him as being in particularly strong or weak. I think another kind of flat strength would work for me. But what are your thoughts?
I agree. I think at this point, strength, dex are probably good at 10. Maybe he's got like, and we look at wisdom and charisma. I think he actually has probably a bad charisma.
Yeah. Maybe a minus. Yeah, maybe a -1 to charisma. Get that 8 or 9 in there. And then wisdom. I feel like the wisdom is actually probably a little bit up, maybe like a 13 or a 14.
Oh, you think?
Well, I think he has to look around and inspect a lot, so he would need that that ability.
Makes sense. Cool. So we just kind of throw his abilities on there. We rough him out. You can see there's a very back and forth process. And if chat, you have any ideas, please hit us up. So let's look at his speeds. He can't fly, burrow, or swim, so he can just walk. And I think he's probably got a normal 30-foot speed. He's just a dude, right?
Yeah, just regular 30-foot. 25 if halfling.
Yeah. We'll worry about that later.
Oh yeah, I mean that was not a thing meant to actually go in. And then probably no fly or swim. I agree there.
Yeah. I don't think
saving throws.
Maybe
like, int.
Maybe I was thinking maybe wisdom for that. Like, even though he's not as skilled in it, right? He is. You know what I mean? He's kind of like trained almost to like look for things.
I mean, also it feels to me like if you're giving him proficiency in wisdom saving throws, you can't pull the wool over the health inspector's eyes. That feels right to me.
Yeah, I think he's got the wisdom and the intelligence, even though the intelligence probably doesn't matter a lot. So,
and this is CR3, so there'll be a +2 proficiency bonus, correct?
Exactly.
So +5 to the int and +4 to the whiz.
And you can see those numbers come from 3, or in this case, intelligence 3, plus the proficiency bonus of 2 is +5, and 2 plus proficiency bonus +2 is 4. So we've thrown him together. Skills, we got to list them alphabetically. I think this guy has investigation and perception, and that might be it.
Maybe insight.
Oh, okay. So investigation.
Investigation and perception, 100%. Insight, I think, is on the line. I don't know what you feel. How does chat feel about insight?
I like insight.
Oh, okay.
I think maybe it's supposed to go before investigation in bed.
And Frog says, I think wisdom should be decent because he needs to notice all the unfulfilled standards for restaurants of Central City.
It's
pretty good.
True. I like the idea of the giant rat as a health inspector.
That's very good. The giant rat as a health inspector, says Farfel, who instantly docks your grade because there's a rat in your restaurant.
I love this idea.
Yeah, that's really funny.
Maybe we want to change it. Instead of any humanoid, we want to make him a rat.
Do we want to just is he just a medium rat?
Yeah, I think it's just a rat. Medium humanoid rat folk. Or just I just like it. I just think it's awesome.
Yeah, I like it too.
He's got major armor, he's got a clipboard. These are just some of the creatures
almost now that
has pulled into their sway.
I was gonna say, now that he's a rat folk, I almost want to like give him a name and just make him like the Green Sun Health Inspector.
So maybe he's just oh my god, maybe he's just the Green Sun Health Inspector. He's the only one.
Yeah,
maybe.
And also, if you guys have a cool name for a Green Sun Health Inspector, please just please spam chat with your name ideas. That's a big giant rat. But I don't think we actually have to. I was gonna say, I don't think we actually have to change anything about this.
He's fine.
Now that he's a rat folk.
Maybe I'd say maybe he should be a little more dexterous.
Oh yeah, I think that too. That's a good point.
Maybe give him like a 13 because he's like a big rat, so he's like he's a little slow. So that bumps his armor class up to a 15 now with everything.
Damage vulnerabilities, probably none, I would think.
Yep, I don't think he's vulnerable to really anything.
I've always given every Green Sun cultist resistance to psychic damage. That's just like a unifying thing that I give them all.
And I think he's also poisoned.
I think resistance to poison is just right. That's a very good idea.
So resistance to poison, resistance to psychic. No, these are two fairly rare saving throws, but they're there.
The poison, the psychic,
there's-
very, very rare.
Remy. That's an interesting. I like this name, Farfel. Remy. And I see Nerd
Is
Tail-
that a rat from a popular film? I feel like Remy might be the rat in Ratatouille.
Oh no! God damn it!
Ratatouille characters. I'm googling it.
Mr. Roderick Nibbles. I don't know if he's Mr. Roderick.
Yeah, he's named Remy. I was right.
There we go. Damage immunities. I don't think he's got any, unless he's immune to poison. But I don't think he's immune to poison.
Yeah, I think no damage immunities. Condition immunities. I also. I sometimes will give Green Sun Cultist fear immunity because it's just a very scary thing, and they have no emotions. But I don't know if necessarily the Green Sun Health Inspector would have that.
I mean, he goes into some gross places.
Yeah.
So I think fear, and I think poisoned. It'll rarely come up, but I think.
Yeah, actually, I think poisoned is a good pick.
Yeah, to kind of go with the damage resistant.
Senses passive perception is going to be what's it going to be? 14. Which is calculated from, because he has proficiency in perception from his skills. So he's a plus 2 from the proficiency and then plus 2 from wisdom. So 10 plus the 4 is the 14. So we get that. And rat folk probably has dark vision.
Oh yes, definitely has dark vision. I believe dark vision is lowercase though.
That I think is correct. Yeah, 60 feet of dark vision. Yeah, sure.
Oh, whoops! I already put.
Oh, okay. It's all you.
Yep. Dark vision 60 feet. And that should be lowercase.
That's just the standard. That's just the standard dark vision radius.
Yep. It is for a creature that can see well in the dark.
Probably speaks common and deep speech.
Deep speech? I suppose that's fair. I'm going to put the link back in, by the way, for anyone who still wants to vote. The link is still open, and that'll decide who we're going to tackle next after this. Disease
immunity. I was looking at the exact same time.
That's a very good point, Farfel. Let's get rid of that disease. He's definitely immune to disease. He's a rat. He's a health inspector. He's a rat health inspector. Which I know this might be sounding disparaging to health inspector. If you're a health inspector, we do not mean you any disrespect. This is a very specific DnDTime silly thing. So you're gonna even languages common and deep speech.
Yeah, that's kind of what I'm thinking.
Is that how you spell speech? That's not how you spell speech.
With an E. Oh no!
Oh no! Speed.
Do you know what the XP is off the top of your head? I can look it up.
No, it doesn't matter. We'll worry about that another time. Actually, it's 1,100.
Okay, perfect. Yeah, while we're here, might as well.
Just in case you want to use the Green Sun Health Inspector in your adventure. Features. So what kind of features would this guy have? We already talked. I think we're going to hit this on a very broad kind of scale. But obviously some sort of advantage on attacks against injured creatures, maybe?
Yep, I think that is. I think just advantage would be. I guess that's actually pretty strong if you're thinking just a creature that's like below half his advantage on creatures below half hit points would probably be the mechanic if we can do that.
Sewer adventures, Farfel 13 asks chat. I think there's been one. He did one just 2 weeks.
Yeah, and you've done one as well with Grandarf. We've both done sewer adventures.
Yeah, in a way.
Also, the post office, the Green Sun post office, is also in the sewers, which I think there's been a few.
See, I like the
Mr.
ability. Yeah, right. I also like the ability.
We have some names that are coming in: Jimmy, Mr. Roderick Nibbles, Jordan Sammy.
So, what other features do we think this dude would get? Being a health inspector, because I want his abilities to really feel like a health inspector kind of.
Well, there was a recommendation. It was Sword who said a heightened sense of smell, perhaps a keen senses or something along those lines.
Ooh, I like that. So actually, keen senses is really easy because we can just stick it in here.
Yeah, advantage on perception checks for smells.
Sure.
Do you already have it, or?
Yeah, I've got the text pulling.
All right. You're always so much faster than me at these things.
I am very fast. Go ahead and put his name and stuff on there, or the green sun, the inspector.
Oh.
Wop, wop. You got to turn off the bolds.
Gotta get off them bold, get off those italics.
Dirty rat. He'll cast hexbait on anyone.
The inspector.
Interesting. So let's start looking at his actions, reactions. I think we're kind of done with features. He's got a basic like frenzy feature we'll deal with, where it's like, you're making a mess, you're bad, blah, you're dying, kind of stuff.
As he's killing you, he's telling you to stop bleeding.
Yeah, stop bleeding. What else?
Definitely has a thick Cockney accent.
Oh no.
Actions probably has a bite. And then someone had mentioned before he's got the clipboard and red pen.
I like.
And and also we forgot a feature that he definitely has, and that is spellcasting.
Oh yeah. So we'll go ahead and make a
that
copy
guy in there.
Oh, I'll let you handle that one then, and I'll put his red pen.
Spellcasting. And what level spellcaster do we want to make? What is the appropriate level spellcaster for the challenge rating we have?
Oh, that's a good question. Interestingly enough, you can do a lot with spellcasting. It just depends on the spells you give them. So, like we could make this like a 7th level spellcaster, we can make a 5th level spellcaster. We could really make it whatever we want. It just depends on what spells we give it. I think in this case, we're probably looking at like
maybe 5, maybe a 5th level.
Yeah, a 5th level spellcaster, I think.
3rd level spells seems kind of right.
Makes sense to me.
Just using the lich to get the text.
Throwing in the basic lich stat text there. Whoops.
Yep.
I'll italicize that. And this is how you really make a high quality good creature, guys. You take the basic kind of text formats that already exist in the game, and you use them. I mean, there are predetermined like ways that creatures work. There's the correct way to phrase the ability to cast spells on a creature, and this is it. You just look at a creature that can do it, and you use that text. So, have we thought about a name? I as much as I hate it, I love it. I liked the Remy name.
Is there a way we can get like a slight variant on Remy, like something that has that Remy feel?
Mm-hmm. We need to think more then.
Yeah, give it another bit of time.
Sword coat here. I love this. The red pen can do a D4 of damage, and then it'll do an extra D4 for each member of the party that's damaged. I really like that.
Indeed.
So it's gonna do piercing damage. I'm just putting that on here now. It's one target. Got 5 feet of reach. Just a quick stab. Its bonus to hit is going to be what? It's going to be the proficiency bonus +2, plus his dexterity or constitution. Dex is only a +1, so it looks like it's only going to have a +3 to hit. Very low to hit, but that might be okay. It's going to do 1d4 plus 1 damage. We're going to be using his dexterity for a very fast stabbing weapon. You could also have gone with strength, which was a +0. I opted for dexterity.
And while Jeremy's doing that, I'm just getting in some. Getting in the stuff for the spells.
Pete's throwing the spell stuff up there. Howdy, Max. Welcome to the party. Lemon. Farful 13 suggesting Lemmy again. The Forgotten One suggesting Lemon, which is similar to Lemmy. I don't think his clipboard is actually going to be an attack, now that I'm thinking about it.
Lemmy's also a character in DnDTime. He's a small boy lemonade magnate.
Oh, that's true. So we got the red pen. Melee attack, blah, blah. It does piercing damage. And then plus 1d4 piercing damage. So the average of 1d4 is going to be 2. It's going to be 2.5, but we round down to 2 here. +1 is an average of 3 damage. And then it's going to be plus a very similar amount of damage to 1d4. What kind of damage does that do? Like psychic damage per creature?
Yeah, definitely
30 feet of the inspector, which has fewer than its maximum, its hit point max.
And let's look at.
Maybe not the correct text for phrasing that, but it works out. I really like that red pen ability.
Yeah, that's really cool.
I love creatures that encourage you as a group to like help each other out. Rat aghast. Oh, Farfo. You're killing me. I kind of like it though.
I think it's a little bit much. A little
Might
bit.
be a little. Anywho, let's look.
So I'm gonna build this guy like a wizard, since we're using intelligence as the stat modifier. And so I'm going through and kind of picking out some cantrips here. For one thing, I feel like for a damaging cantrip, it's probably poison spray. Yeah, would he use his own? Would he use the weapon of his enemies against them, or would he pick something else?
Like,
you think
it's probably not poison, right? It's probably like bleach.
Oh yes,
I like this. We're saying ratchet. That's not a bad one, Farfel. I'm thinking like now that you're putting these out there. I'm just thinking maybe if we named him after like a kitchen utensil, something like kitchen related.
Is he corrupt? Would he minor illusion dirt stains on things to give people bad scores?
Yeah.
Oh no, he's too lawful. He's probably too lawful for that.
Oh, that's true.
Maybe friends.
I don't know. Regardless, the big cantrip that we know he's going to have is going to be is going to be poison spray, and I don't know, maybe like
friends. I'm going to go friends.
Firebolt.
Message to communicate with.
Flannel Pug, you passed out. Oh, prestidigitation. That's a good
and
one.
Prestidigitation. Maybe I was going to say instead of firebolt. And then prestidigitation. First level, detect poison and disease. 100% is the most perfect thing for the health inspector.
Absolutely. I think that's an excellent one.
Technically, that's not a wizard spell, but I don't think that matters.
Yeah, that's fine. Whatever. We can just take the word wizard out of here and say for following spells prepared.
Yep.
It really doesn't matter too much. If you're making a character that's supposed to be a wizard, pick from the wizard spells usually. But in this case, we're making a health inspector, so he's going to have health inspector spells, and we don't care what those are. I'm kind of iffy about friends because I feel like people don't like the health inspector.
After a minute.
Good point. They like him. Oh God, cause fear.
I thought it was more of a defense. Yeah, I think cause fear is a great one. Maybe a ray of sickness. To be I
don't think he does grease the forgotten one because like he doesn't want to make a mess. He wants to clean them. You don't want to clean the mess either.
I think grease. Do
you think grease?
It's funny. I agree that it's a little bit like it doesn't make a lot of sense, but it's in the overall theme. If not for the specific thing, it's right on the line. It's.
And what else?
Oh, mage armor. Just he has that.
Oh yeah, he has to have mage armor. Maybe dissonant whispers.
Yeah, that's just a thing I give Green Sun cultists a lot too. I think that makes sense. That he would just have some of like the general Green Sun stuff.
Because we don't want to give him too many abilities. Because we don't want it to be too difficult to go through. For level 2 spells, what next?
Let me take a look.
I'm just trying to think of what he might have. Maybe like Crown of Madness.
I was thinking detect thoughts.
Oh, that would be a
so we can. so he can kind of pierce through the lies, knock to get into locked rooms.
Oh yes. Okay, excellent. You want me to start writing these down?
Yeah, I'll get them. Just want to finish reading through.
I think knock is excellent. Find
see invisibility.
Oh yeah.
And I don't know if he necessarily needs this to be to have a damaging spell onto. I like that these are more flavorly based around the flavor of the thing. I'm saying you might not need a.
No, I'm with you.
And then a couple.
For 3, what are we gonna do?
Fireball, optimal play.
Jeez, just fireball, just straight up.
Nah, I'm joking.
We could though. We could give him fireball. Fine. I mean, by fine, I mean excellent. Would he have bestow curse? I don't think he would. Maybe
it's close. I can almost see.
I see this curse. Guy. Let's make a couple of abilities that actually synergize well with this guy. Let's give him a fireball. Let's give him a way to like
actually threaten.
Yeah, well, not just to actually threaten, but to damage everyone. To go with his
okay.
Other feature. And I think
if we're gonna pick
maybe one other.
I think if we're gonna pick maybe lightning bolt instead of fireball, because that at least feels like maybe he's like using it to like overload electronic. I'm actually not sure if that has any more synergy. Fireball's more cleany. Maybe fireball's the right one. I take it all back.
I kind of like lightning bolt. Lightning bolt feels more like eldritch.
Well, I like it more. Yeah, and it feels more Green Sun Cult in general, but I don't see that necessarily has anything to do with being a health inspector. But I guess fireball doesn't really that much either. Yeah, Farfel says, if the restaurant is too bad, the only solution is purification through fire.
And
I think one of the issues with Fireball is that AoE is assumed to hit 2 targets, but with Fireball, it hits all targets, pretty much.
We'll worry about that one later.
Well, yeah, that's what I'm saying. It's like Lightning Bolt's just slightly more balanced.
I kind of like Vampiric Touch.
What do you think the reason for Vampiric Touch is?
I don't know. I just like it. It feels very culty. But at the same time, we want him to be stabbing people with his red pen a lot.
If we're talking just
ruins that.
If we're talking just general cult stuff, Hunger of Hadar is kind of in the cult.
I like that a lot. Yeah, let's go with Hunger of Hadar as the other one.
Yeah, that's actually, in the.
Maybe we get rid of Lightning Bolt for Hunger of Hadar.
Yeah, I think that's the right way to go. I was just thinking wizard. I wasn't. We freed ourselves from the constraints, the shackles of wizardry.
And I guess let's replace Lightning Bolt with Fear. So you can fear everyone and then cast Hunger of Hadar and do all sorts of crazy
stuff. I think that's pretty cool.
Yeah, I like this a lot. It makes me happy. Finger of Death, says the Flannel Pug. No, I don't think we're gonna Finger of Death.
And just one 7th level, one 7th level spell.
All right, so at this point, we've got his spells figured out. We have his attacks. He's got a bite, which is going to be very similar, +3 to hit. Reach is going to be 5 feet. It's going to be, let's say, the bite's like a D6 probably. So like really not that strong. Right. And that'll do an average of 4 damage. So really, his bite's really weak. And his red pen,
and he probably won't use it. It's just so that if he needs it for some reason, he can.
Exactly. If the party manages to like outlast him and get his red pen away, all right, might be a good creature. I don't think he has any bonus actions or legendary actions or layer actions or reactions. I don't think he's got reactions.
Now, the red pen, the +3 to hit, does that +3 apply to the first one and then it does the damage to everyone else automatically?
Oh, my thought was it just did extra damage to that one target. Based on
I thought this was hitting everyone. Okay, now I understand the thing.
I suppose it could just dock everyone. Yeah. That's another option. But I don't like those as much. I don't like damage that automatically does something.
Yeah, it's also a little bit trickier to track.
One trickier to track to everyone just feels so weak. Like no one will ever die.
Yeah, it's a little bit less satisfying, I think. And
so, regardless, at this point, we're looking at a pretty solid character. Let's start figuring out the balance on him or her. On the rat man.
On the rat folk.
So we're gonna jump into our spreadsheet. We want him to be CR4. Interesting, we're already set. His constitution modifier is plus, it's gonna be 17. And his dexterity,
Want me to read stuff for you so you don't have to like jump back and forth between stuff?
Yeah, Pete, what's his dexterity modifier?
+1.
So I meant
13.
He's a medium creature. We've already got that figured out.
We were shooting for 60-ish hit points.
So that would probably be like, in this case, if 1 hit die gives a 7, that'll mean 10 hit die gives a 75. Okay, so we'll bump that down to 8, and we're down to 60 exact.
Oh man, slam dunk! What a perfect. What next?
Saving throws. How many?
In 2 of them. One of them that's relevant.
Cool.
Because we have intelligence and wisdom here.
Note here. Saving throws, when you're going through and figuring these out, if you're building a monster specifically to fight characters you know, like if you're building one for your homebrew campaign, when you're talking about saving throws, resistances, immunities, and vulnerabilities, only consider ones that are applicable to your party. So, for example, if your creature has a intelligence saving throw proficiency, there's, I think, like 2 spells in the game that rely on that. And so if you're making like a CR4 creature with an intelligence saving throw proficiency, there's literally no way for any character class to affect that. So that is effectively 0 saving throws instead of 1. Every other save, wisdom, strength, constitution, etc., has an applicability, but intelligence really just does not frequently.
Indeed.
Resistances, what's he got?
He has poison and psychic resistance. So psychic is 1.
He has resistance.
Yeah. Poison is relevant.
Likewise, those are based on relevancy. We have poison and psychic. If you are building this guy for your own homebrew game and none of your characters that the players are playing were capable of doing poison or psychic damage, this would be false. Even though he has those resistances, they're just not applicable. In this case, since we have no idea who he's going to play against, we're going to hit true. He has no immunities, no vulnerabilities.
Nope. Condition immunities, does that calculate in any way?
No, condition immunities are pretty wrapped in with resistances and regular. So, yeah, because he's resistant to the poison damage, that's going to be wrapped in with the condition immunity to poison. What's his armor class? What do we put him at? 15?
Yep, that's where we got him right now.
All right. And now we can start talking about his damage per round.
Okay.
So this is something that's going to be a little ambiguous to figure out. But the way that this works is you're going to look at the first 3 rounds of combat that this creature is going to have and average the damage they'd be able to put out, assuming for area of effect spells that it hits 2 creatures, it hits 2 targets, and for melee attacks that they hit. So in this case, his red pen, or we'll start with what his
probably Hunger of Vidar. Probably Hunger of Vidar.
So Hunger of Vidar is going to do what? It's 2d8 damage, or
a creature that the way it works is a creature that starts its turn in the area does 2d6 cold damage, and a creature that ends its turn takes 2d6 acid damage. So it's probably going to deal only about 2d6 damage, assuming people are hopping out of it. And a lot of that depends on the constraints of the area. But most of the time, you're going to be in a situation where you can move yourself out of it if you start your turn in it.
Well, it's difficult.
But it's also, yes. It's also
dump it right on someone they can't get.
Yeah. Like if you're inside of a restaurant in kind of a room, you can just toss it in a room and really,
really get them.
Really ruin some people. But
so let's assume that we're going to proc it on 2 targets, like we said. So we're going to do 4d6 cold damage. And if they're
is it generous to say it's going to proc an additional time after that on the concentration?
That's the question, right? Is it going to proc an additional time? I think in this case, we can say that it won't, but that's something to really consider, right? Because it blinds characters, they don't have much else to do but take their full turn running out. So I think in that case, it'll only probably proc the one time. So we're going to say 4d6, which averages to 3 damage each, 3 damage per d6, or 3.5 really. So 7 and 7, 14 damage. So we got 14 damage on round 1. I'm going to add a little note down here where round 1, 14 damage. Round 2, what are we looking at?
Round 2, it's probably the pen from that point.
Yeah. So at that point, we have 2 damaged creatures assumed. So he's going to do an extra 4 damage on top of the 3 from the pen. So we're looking at 7.
Assuming that he's attacking one of the ones that's already damaged. If he's attacking, or wait.
Assuming
he's attacking assuming he's attacking someone that's not. Oh, so it counts the damage that they have on themselves as well. Okay, cool.
Yep. And then round 3 is going to be 9 because we're adding another damaged target. The guy he attacked last turn, presumably who wasn't. So this is what we're looking at for our total. We average those things together. We got 21, 30 divided by 3, a total of 10, an average of 10 damage per round.
Cool.
His melee attack bonus is going to be a +3. And let's check what his spell attack bonus, though, is, because that's going to affect his saving throws. His spell attack bonus is 2 higher, because it's a +3 for his spell bonus, which is intelligence, and a +1 for his attack, which is which is dexterity. So we're going to average that to a +2 instead of a +1 or a +3. Oh, plus his proficiency bonus, so +4. Sorry.
Yeah.
It's important to consider those things when spellcasters are one of the most complicated ones to balance, but it's really just that simple. You look at their attack stat, you look at their main attack stat. Really, we could have just looked at the red pen since he only has a couple damaging abilities from spells. But
now this is a thing we forgot to do. Are we going to give them a feature that also?
Well, we're getting to that.
That gives them. Well, no. We were going to originally give them a feature that gives them the bonus to hit versus damaged creatures. Are we kind of abandoning that for the effect of the red pen?
Oh, no, I think we should keep that, absolutely.
Okay, I agree.
And actually, one thing I noticed, I just realized, we gave them the spell Poison Spray, the cantrip Poison Spray, and the cantrip and the spell Dissonant Whispers. Those are going to be way more powerful than the red pen on round 2, aren't they?
Dissonant Whispers, I think, in particularly.
It's going to be 3d6 damage. It's going to be a total of 10.5.
Could be cast at level 3. Or can you upcast Dissonant Whispers?
Yeah, I believe you can. So that's a super important thing to note because it'll do an extra d6 of damage. So really, on that second round, we're looking at 14 damage again from the upcast Dissonant Whispers. Oh, actually, that's a level 1 spell. We're casting it at level 3, so it'll be even higher, like 17.5. So we'll round that down to 17. So really, we're looking at 31. We're looking at 40 damage divided by 3, which, taking out my calculator,
a little bit higher. 13.
Is 15. So I messed up a little bit. That's fine. And it sometimes takes a little time to get to that. Let's talk about his traits. We want to give him a trait that gives him advantage on attacks, which happens to be perfect, like Blood Frenzy. This is an ability that's on the Sahuagin, which is a kind of sea Sharkman kind of deal. These stats, the HP bonus, HP multiplier, AC bonus, attack bonus, damage bonus, are all from the Dungeon Master's Guide. There's a nice table of all of the different features in the game that creatures can have. And
I assume that's supposed to be a 4 attack bonus?
Yes, that should say +4 attack.
Not a 4 bonus AC.
Right now. Whoopsies. You can see everyone behind the scenes, my data sheet. There we go. So in here, we're going to give trait attack bonus. That'll affect his effective attack bonus. And then let's scroll up to see how tough he is. Oh no, this has him at CR 2.3. He's very weak. What does that mean? Well, we make him a lower CR creature. That's an option.
Or we can buff him in some way to get him to the point that we want him to be at. But I think he's fine.
Honestly,
I think he's what
I want to do. And hear me out here. And actually, it's interesting. We got the Forgotten One pointing out in chat. What about Dissonant Whispers? We were forgetting about that. Yeah. I want to buff up this. Do I want to buff up the red pen, or we just make him a CR3 creature? Just make him instead of a CR4. But
I think it's fine.
We put him at CR3. He comes to just about CR3. So we ended up with a CR3 creature. Cool. I'm totally fine with that.
Yeah, I think that's perfectly fine.
We got this challenge. Fix that.
Especially for the sake of, since we're that guy took us a while to do, for the sake of getting on to the Booze Ooze, which is the next on our list.
Did it really take us that? Holy shit! It took a long time.
Yeah, it took us a long time.
Like a long time, guys. I'm sorry. I got really into it. But right there, we have just put together a really neat Green Sun Health Inspector rat folk, who honestly, let's be real, the chat has spoken. His name is Remy. Are you with me, Pete?
I mean, Remy Green Sun Health Inspector is the name of the character, and there's nothing that we can do about that.
Wait, what if we call him Ratrick, like Patrick?
Remilius.
I actually like the name Remilius.
Fate has ordained it. I have twisted your Remy into a Remilius.
You know, actually, I'm seeing one thing coming from Sword in chat here talking about buffing the red pen. I kind of like the idea of buffing the red pen up a little bit, but I'm afraid it goes to too crazy levels, because that ends up being what 5d4 plus 1 damage every round. Even as it is, right? That ends up being like a pretty serious hit for a CR2. Imagine being a level 2 character coming up against this guy. Licking on cockalogs. I don't know what that means. Oh, cuckalogs. Nice. You got a question? What's your question, bud? About skeletons? I mean, hit me. What's your skeleton question, man? Give the red pen color spray. Color spray makes a mess, though. Anyway, that is Remilius, the Green Sun Health Inspector. We're gonna come back to him in just a minute. Or
he's done.
Next on our list is tied. We have the Recyclops and the Booze Ooze.
I think the Booze Ooze is the way to go, personally.
I also like the Booze Ooze. However, nice cockalogs. Real clever, buddy. Anyway, so do we want to take a quick break, Pete? And then we'll jump back in.
Yeah. Let's grab a break.
Yeah, Pete and I are just gonna quickly refresh our beverages. I don't know. I've been done since the first 2 minutes.
Couple minutes. Yeah, same.
We'll be right back. It'll be about 3 minutes. And stay tuned.
See you soon.
We got some more beasties to brew. All right, we're returned.
Welcome back, everybody.
Oh man, Pete, you went full Robo right there.
Oh man, am I still?
No, you're fine. It was just when you said welcome back, it was like Mecha.
We're back. We're going. There's a great question from Frog, which was the booze ooze or Cyclops, and I think you can see by the screen here on Twitch which we have decided upon. So let's just start diving right in.
Yeah. The booze ooze. What is the booze ooze? Well, let's be real. It is going to be an ooze.
Very simple. It's an ooze, probably made subtype of booze.
I don't think that any oozes have subtypes.
No.
So how big do we want the booze
just joshing.
Chat, how large is the booze ooze? Is it like a small creature? Does it fit in like a flagon and then kind of bleh? Or is this like a giant vat in some huge brewery that comes out and attacks you as the booze ooze?
I think, for one thing, I think it's unaligned.
Oh. I was gonna say psychotic, but yeah.
Most oozes are
don't
unaligned.
have any agenda. What do you guys think?
If you want this to be a more intelligent ooze, we could run that direction.
No.
Or is it just kind of a force? I think it's just a force of.
A force of booze.
A force of booze. There it is.
Large and ooze, and you get ooze booze from it after. All right, so we're seeing large to huge. So we'll put let's make huge.
I'm just gonna throw some condition immunities on here right now. I know that's a bit ahead of it, but we're gonna need those ones.
So there are certain things that just all oozes have. Certain condition immunities, certain resistances that are just very resistances not so much. Jellies and oozes and gelatinous cubes have very different kind of vibes a lot. But one of the things that really is cohesive about them, and you can find this out by flipping through the monster manual, is they generally have some kind of resistance to an elemental damage. Some of them are lightning. Some of them are like, for example, the gray ooze is acid, cold, and fire. The black pudding is acid, cold, and lightning.
The ochre jelly is lightning and slashing immunity, as well as acid resistance.
So, I mean, the question is, what do we want to give it? And honestly, I think acid, cold, and lightning are just good. Except maybe not immunity. God, that's the big issue. If these are damage immunity.
I don't think alcohol, if it's an alcoholic ooze, I don't think alcohol is actually that resistance to cold or heat, because both of those, if changed enough, if you change around its temperature enough, it can start to skunk a brew, so to speak.
So we're gonna give it acid under a damage resistance, and I think maybe we give it lightning immunity.
Sounds good to me. Acid and lightning resistance works.
I don't like immunities generally in my design, just because like it sucks enough to do like
half damage when you just find out that you cast your big spell, like you cast your lightning bolt when you just got it, and you find out that it just nope.
So resistance is what we're gonna go with. Let's get rid of the immunities.
I think vulnerabilities no.
Yeah. Oh God, no. It's an ooze. Oozes aren't vulnerable to anything. It's probably got no skills.
Survive. No skills. Saving throws.
A lot of oozes are stealthy. But not all of them. I don't know.
That's true. Like the Elder Oblex has Arcana Deception history.
Is a little different.
I know. I'm just joking.
Let's say
actually,
I don't
stealth sometimes, but
I don't see him as a skilled creature.
I agree.
I see this ooze booze as having just come into the world in whatever adventure we use, right? This is not an ooze that has been around, kind of oozing around, experiencing the world. Oh, what CR are we aiming for? 13 asks. That's a great question.
Probably, honestly, my instinct is around the same range that we just did. But maybe we change that up for fun. Maybe go a little bit lower. Or
do we see this as like a Fable tier adventure? Let's talk about it that way. Fable tier,
Yeah.
or do we want this as a more story tier kind of
I
monster?
could probably see this as a story tier monster.
Okay, so let's talk. Let's aim for 4 again, and let's actually hit it this time, dudes, dudettes, and all everyone in between.
The royal dudes.
The royal dudes.
The all-inclusive dudes.
Languages, it is none, so we just put a little dash there. Passive perception is going to be bad, probably.
Yeah, we'll get that once we. So want to go back and start getting speed and AC and that kind of stuff?
Yeah, I think it's got a swim speed, which is strange for oozes, but I think it does.
Yeah, because it's a little bit more liquidy.
I don't think it has a fly speed, but I'd love to see a flying ooze. So maybe we give it like a 15-foot swim speed and a 30-foot swim speed and 15-foot regulars. I like that.
Yeah, I think so too.
I don't think it can climb like most other oozes. I feel like most oozes are sticky. I feel like the booze ooze is sticky in a different way. It's a different sticky.
So I don't forget it. I think the ooze booze. Oh, hey, it's Mr. Plunderloot.
It's always great to see you plunder.
Yeah, I think we definitely want to give it some kind of. Like new condition that it applies to people that would maybe mess up their dexterity in particular. The thing, what did I want to say? Maybe it has an ability kind of like the water weird, where it's invisible. Like water weird has invisible in water. I feel like the ooze booze is invisible in booze.
I like that idea. Invisible in booze. What are we gonna call this? Camouflage?
It's actually the name of the feature on Water Weird is actually invisible in water.
I guess sometimes it's just invisible in booze.
Yeah.
It's just the ooze booze is invisible in booze.
If we want to just do it, I can just grab the text and we can call that a day.
Yeah, you just put it in. Don't forget when you paste without form. So passive. Let's talk about his stats. Oozes are great because oozes are dumb, uncharismatic, and less wise. Look at a gelatinous cube or a gray ooze. You're gonna have about a 6 wisdom. That wisdom represents like its base ability to like exist.
To perceive its environment, to move around, to know where food is or whatever it is that it eats.
Obviously, this thing's got a charisma of 1. It's might have a high charisma for an ooze.
Oh, maybe it's a slightly higher charisma because there's probably some intrepid. I was thinking some intrepid adventurers might try and
befriend the ooze booze.
Mm-hmm. I like that. I think that's cool.
I think the int is a 1. A genuine 1.
Is that what a standard ooze is?
Yeah. I mean, they're 1s or 2s, as far as I remember. They might be 1s across the board, but I think at least one of them is a little better. That's not one of the specialty oozes. Constitution.
Of course.
This is where oozes shine. Oozes have very high cons.
I think this one's going to have an in particularly high con as an ooze made of alcohol.
Let's give him a 20.
I'm in on that.
Yeah, he's just like this ooze.
Can we give him the 20? Can we give him the 21 just for flavor?
Oh yes, perfect. Even more constitutious than the gelatinous cube. Dexterity oozes are notoriously sluggish. Generally like 3, 4, 5. Let's go with. I think this guy is similar. He's got like a 5 maybe.
Yeah, I think he's a little bit on the high side for an ooze because he's more liquidy. Can slurp around a bit better.
A 5 is a -3. Is that wrong? Guys, if I end up doing terrible math on this, please.
That is correct. And then strength. Oh, okay, cool.
Most oozes are like in the 13 to 15 range.
I see no reason to go away from that. I think maybe a 15 because that's going to be his primary attack stat.
So that gives him a +2. So we've got his base stats here for the ooze. Oops, he is
maybe
not
a 14.
Trained. I like the 15.
You like the 15?
You know what? The 14's fine. The 14's fine. We have too many odd numbers. 14's good.
That's what I was thinking too.
Obviously, no proficiencies, so
no saving throws. Passive perception is going to be defaulted to 8.
Be a minus.
Oh wait, yeah, that's right.
I just didn't update the number.
Languages. Do you put languages and then the dash for no languages?
It's a dash for no languages. It should be an EM dash, but actually, you know what? I got an EM. An EM dash is a weird double length dash. Don't ask why I have that on hold. I love Unicode. Anyway, so at this point, we've got our base booze ooze. Let's talk about his armor class, because this is something that oozes have like an AC of 8 pretty much uniformly. So it's easy to hit boozes.
Sounds good to me.
I think we want to roll real high on this health, right? Because we're going to see our 4 ooze. I mean, this thing's going to have like a 120.
It's like 100. I was going to say my number that I arbitrarily picked in my head was 115. I want to do 122.
Let's shoot for 150.
Sure.
We'll shoot for 150. We'll see where we get.
So this ooze, I think, is a little bit more liquidy than most oozes.
Yeah, and at a D12, it's got a D12 hit die for being a huge creature. Right.
Let me just get amorphous in there because it's definitely amorphous.
Yep, it has the amorphous trait. It's got the hangover trait, which poisons characters hit by it. I think that makes sense. Instead of for 1 round. Well, we'll figure out the exact phrasing we want to use later on. That's important. Let's see what we got. We got chat going on. Have a foamy top. Let's hit pint. I like that. Drink it, then suffocate them. Found hidden in bottles. Do we want?
That was actually a thing that I was thinking too at one point, was making it a tiny thing that would sometimes just be inside of a bottle.
Yeah, I was thinking that as well, but now we've decided
we're moving you're moving in a bigger direction. I think we might want to just shift our.
Well, the worry I have, right, with going with tiny, is a lot of like the ooze things are like they envelop you. What does the ooze booze do if it doesn't envelop you? Is it just like slap you with booze tentacles?
I think it tries to drown you. I think it just tries to enter your body, which is a terrifying thing.
That's too frightening for me. I don't.
Yeah, that's a little spooky.
Well, you know, Farful saying in chat, it could just fit into any alcohol bottle. I think that could be just a feature. The ooze booze can fit into any container of alcohol. Can squeeze to fit into any size container.
Maybe we include that in the amorphous category.
No, because oh yeah, you know, I think that's fine. We just put it in
slightly.
Yeah. Yeah. It was invisible and fully immersed. Not character, but creature damaged by the ooze becomes poisoned until the end of its next turn. I like this idea. One of the things I really like about the whole poison condition from this hangover deal is it makes the it gives the ooze a little bit more defense against that character by giving them disadvantage to attack. That can help to offset that 8 armor class, which is going to be pretty helpful, I think.
Do we want that to just be we want that to be just an auto hit, not a save against?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, I think it works
too.
Talk
about his attacks. I think he's got a splash attack.
It's probably called pseudopod. He probably has one called that.
Oh, we could just have it be splash attack. Pseudopod is like, it literally makes like an arm of jelly and smacks. I like the idea of the ooze splashes and maybe like becomes smaller. Might be interesting.
Does its own attack deal damage to itself?
Yeah, maybe. Maybe this thing has a feature where its size decreases based on how much health it has. That's a little complicated.
Yeah, as I said, that might be a little bit intricate. I think that's a thing that people will just do naturally as they play with it. And
one of the things you could, I was just thinking like, because its damage would be reflected in that. Yeah, let's not worry about splash right now, or let's not worry about that damage. A splash probably does a d6 of damage, or maybe we call it a pseudopod. Do you want to call it pseudopod? That's pretty standard for oozes.
It's just because that's what it's always called was the reason I said that. But yeah. I mean, I don't see any reason to be bound by convention if you're feeling the splash.
I'm feeling splash. I like the idea that it splashes you. And I like the idea if it splashes you, maybe splash is a unique ability that does like an area of effect attack. and it has a pseudopod too.
So its bonus to
And
hit
the
is going to be
splash has a
+4.
recharge. Wait a minute, Pete. Okay. Hear me out.
I'm hearing. I'm listening.
We make it an area of effectability, and we give it a recharge. So, recharge 5 to 6, and we should be using an EM dash in there, but that's fine. And instead of melee weapon attack, we'll just get rid of all of that entirely, and we'll say the ooze splashes out in a 15-foot cone. Oh, in a cone, right? Sorry.
I think it's just I feel like it might just be a circle around where it is.
Oh.
Like, I feel like it's not even a targeted thing. I think its body just kind of florps up and then kind of explodes out.
50-foot radius, centered on the.
Yeah.
Each creature in that area must make a DC. What are we going to call it? Constitution? I think it's Constitution.
Oh yeah, my thought was like strength. Well, what is it going to do?
It's going to take some damage, right? I think it does XDX acid damage on a failed save, or half as much on a successful one. Maybe it's not acid damage. Maybe it's poison. I think poison. What do you think? I like poison.
I'm on. I could go either way. I think I like acid a little bit more, but I'm fine with
it's more
poison.
Oozy. Yeah. All right. We'll stick with that. So the next thing we need to figure out is, what is the saving throw? What's the DC? And that's actually really easy to figure out because we're challenge rating 4. So proficiency bonus is +2. And then because it is a actual, like a natural ability, not a spell casting, you're going to look at Constitution. So Dragon's Breaths, for example, use their Constitution modifier to determine their saving throw.
So in that case, this saving throw would be
15. Exactly. Pretty high save, but should be fine.
And if we're worried about how high that save is, we can offset it by just making it a less damaging ability. And I think a creature that fails that saving throw falls under the effects of the hangover ability as well.
Exactly. I want the idea of him to push everyone with his hangover. Its hangover. So how much acid damage is that going to be? Probably like.
Little Pug says intelligence save.
I actually like this. I'm almost okay with that, but Constitution.
Actually, wait a minute. I thought it was a troll, and I think it might have been.
But maybe.
Nah, that would have to be it would have to be more focused on the drunk aspect, I think.
Here we go, Pete. We're gonna just destroy convention. No, I'm just kidding.
I think Plunderloot, we're just making the hangover happen. That just happens.
Because I don't want to wrap too many saving throws on here because that slows stuff.
Yeah.
We're seeing D Forgotten One saying 2d6 or 2d8. D8s are usually what these kind of effects are, like a Dragon's Breath. So yeah, I think like 2d8 is pretty good.
Or I was gonna say 3, but
3. My fear is the ooze walks into the room. I guess it's CR4.
Yeah, it's CR4.
Walks in the room with the Fable tier character, splashes everyone for 24 damage, and they die.
Which is the risk, I think, at this career. I think 3d8 is a good spot.
Okay, I'm pretty good with that too. 15-foot radius is good though. We're good with 15 foot.
I think 15 foot works too.
Okay, and now let's stick that pseudopod on there because we need him to have a regular ability when he's not recharging. But I did like the int save. If we were gonna give hangover a saving throw,
would be the int save.
It would be intelligent.
Yeah,
absolutely. That's
clever.
But I don't think we're quite on that level. Now, Pete, how do you feel if the splash either? What if we amped the damage up on the splash, but had it do no damage on a success? We can make it like 5d8, but no half damage. That's too much.
I think that just creates a situation where you have one person gets wrecked by it, and then just kind of out of the fight, rather than everyone falling together.
Beneath the booze ooze on.
Oh, and it doesn't even need to. I was thinking we needed to put some kind of feature on the splash to make it. Well, I feel like if you succeed on the saving throw against. Well, the way Hangover is worded right now, we don't even need to write it into the splash ability.
Yeah.
I feel like if you succeed against the splash, you should miss the Hangover. It just feels like it would. I just think it would feel bad as a player to be like, oh, I got this cool save, and then. Like I rolled my nat 20 save, and then you're still poisoned on your next round. I think that would just kind of not feel good.
Creature that succeeds on this saving throw is not affected by the ooze's hangover. Oh, okay. And we also just going to give him a basic pseudopode and kind of call it a day. I mean, for the most part, yeah. And then we can start looking at the balance. Creatures are actually really easy to make, guys. Not that big a deal to make good balanced boys. That being said, I think we're going to be way under on his hit points. I think we're going to have to figure out a way to buff this guy way up or down for CR4. But let's get that pseudopod in there.
How much damage we want the pseudopod to do? I actually low-key like the flavor that the pseudopod also does 3d8 acid damage.
Yeah,
it's just great. The splash is just AoE.
I've just pulled the text for the weapon.
You already got the weapon?
Yep. And it's going to do 3d8, we said. Now, is 3d8 correct? Because he's going to be a huge creature. So it's going to be a medium creature would do 1d8, large would do 2d8, a huge would do 3d8. So perfect. The number of damage die is directly correlated to the size. And it's got a +3 for its strength. Does that?
Oh wait, we deleted the. Oh wait, no, it's just down there. Okay.
Just on the next page. Flash is just.
I'm sorry, I got scared when it was. I have not chat. I have not developed object permanence yet. When the splash left the page, I just assumed it was gone forever. And that is on average going to be 15.
I'm just thinking. When you're looking at other oozes. The cube has its envelop, which is very common. Ochre jelly is known for its kind of splitting ability. The gray ooze is known for its corrosive metal. I suppose this guy's known for his hangover.
Yeah, well, I think it's known for his hangover, and also the fact that you open a tiny bottle, you open like a nip bottle of some alcohol, and then it just. I think that's the thing that this guy will be known for, is that he's a trap.
Veiled in ale is a better name than invisible in booze, the Forgotten One says. It definitely
crushed it. I just 100% agree. Veiled in ale. There it is.
It is an excellent name.
Oh, wait. I'm going to actually instead of changing it, putting that on Amorphous, I'm going to put that on Veiled in ale.
That's a good idea, yeah. Because Amorphous is like it's a
changing the integrity. Changing the integrity of Amorphous. That feels more right. And I think this is a done creature. Now that we just need to figure out the balance on it.
See, Farfel saying I feel like this creature tries to eat people by trying to get them to drink it. So maybe it should do auto damage if someone tries to drink it. I kind of like that idea. I don't kind of like that. I like that idea. I'm just thinking like.
I feel like that's something that
doesn't quite do that.
Well, I was thinking that's something that as a DM I might just say happens rather than because I think that's a weird thing to write in as a feature. Like, I think that how it works in the alcohol container would be up to whoever was running it. How that Veiled in Ale actually interacts when you use it. Because I think that's just a very flexible ability in its current state.
Well, let's see where this guy's at right now. So I'm going to. We've got its basic features.
You ask for things and I'll read them.
Yeah, let's open our monster balance sheet and let's look at where we're at stat-wise. CR4 is what we're looking for. What's Constitution is 20 or 21? Its Dex modifier is what?
5.
5. It is a huge creature with how many hit? We don't know how many.
115 is what we were throwing out.
So that would put it at exactly 10 hit dice.
Cool. We're crushing it on that.
Once again, perfect. Resistances, it has resistances. It has no meaningful immunities or vulnerabilities, though. No proficient saving throws. What's its actual armor class? 8?
That is correct.
What's its damage per round? That's what we got to figure out. And does it have any meaningful features? It has Amorphous, Hungover, and Veiled in Ale. Veiled in Ale and Amorphous don't affect its combat ability at all. So if you open up to here and you look at Amorphous, it doesn't.
The only thing I would say is Veiled in Ale is maybe like a surprise attack kind of thing.
But it doesn't have the surprise attack feature.
Yeah, so
like if I'm scrolling through the different features that are in here, and I go in like, not invisibility, it's camouflage, something camouflage, but
false appearance.
Yeah, like false appearance is a great example. It provides no meaningful bonuses because it just doesn't do a lot. Oh, you already got it.
Oh, sorry, I'll do this.
You've ruined my everything.
Oh no, everything is dead forever.
So Amorphous doesn't do anything, but its poison feature does. The way the poison condition works is if a creature is poisoned, it's going to have disadvantage on attacks until the end of its next turn. So effectively, what advantage or disadvantage is a +4 to your armor class, basically, is a creature having disadvantage to attack you. That's an average roll. Just take my word for it. That's just how the math works out. So,
but this won't necessarily be a +4 because it can only pseudopod one thing at a time, or it splashes multiple targets, but on average, we always assume that hits 2 people.
Exactly.
And that's only for 1 round. Indeed.
So over the course of 3 rounds average, you always do a 3-round average for these trait effects and for everything.
I would say that works out to about 2.
+1.
Oh,
you'd say +2. Because on round 2 and 3, it's only got one character.
But since there's the statistical possibility of the recharge, is why I was giving it the.
No, but here's the thing: the recharge is a 5 or 6, meaning 1/3 of the time it recharges, meaning 3.
But it always has it on the first. But it always has it on the first one. So there's a 2/3 chance of it doing it twice. Roughly, that's the most likely.
Oh, I see what you're. All right, so we'll average it to 2.
Yeah, I don't know. It's like we're getting into semantics.
It has no bonus to attack from its traits meaningfully because poison does not affect its ability to attack, and its attack bonus is a +3. Right?
That's 4, isn't it? Or is it 3? I had it at 4.
Okay.
Yeah, it's +4.
So now we look at what its actual CR is coming out to, and it's 2.3 again. This time, this is a much more defensively minded creature. Its offense being very, very weak due to its very low to hit. Oh, I'm sorry, we haven't put its damage per round in. Silly me. First round is going to be Splash.
Which is going to be, assume 2 people, so...
So 68. So that's going to be 6 times 4.5, so 9 per die. Or 9 for every 2 die. So 9 times 3, 27 points in the first round.
Okay, so that's...
How many on the second round?
Half of that, because it's 1 target with its pseudopod, presumably.
But it's got a +2 from the strength modifier there.
Oh, you're correct. So
it's going to be half that
+2.
Half of that is going to be 13, so 15. And then 15 again.
And there's the slight chance of... Or not the slight chance. There's actually a fair chance of the recharge.
The way you're supposed to deal with that... Whoops. You're supposed to just count that as 1.
Okay.
As 1 use for rechargeability. 19 total is its average per round. Okay, so now let's look at what CR we get.
Yeah, that's going to change it a lot.
2.8. Okay, so we're still a little weak. We can see over here we have defensive... oh, you guys can't see this, can you? We have defensive challenge rating and offensive challenge rating listed here. We can see its offensive challenge rating is pretty low. It's D4. They're actually pretty close to about 3. So where do we want to buff this character up, this creature, to try and make it more of a threat?
And yeah, let's actually go through and do that this time because we're running out of time, and that'll be a good way to end us up.
Oh, I was gonna say this one I think is very easy. I think we give it more health.
Yeah, that was what I was going to
and that
say.
Will inadvertently
at least
make
defensive.
it better at everything because then it lasts more rounds, gets more splashes.
Yeah, it works.
Pretty good. So I think we just bump up the number of hit dice here. Instead of 10, we say 12. And then we go and look over, and it's now a 3.8 out of 4. Bada boom!
Hey!
And yeah, we're looking at 138 hit points on that. So pretty good. The reason that matters so much and why a little bit of hit points bump this creature's challenge rating up so much is because of those resistances. They're increasing its effective hit points pretty dramatically. So that's just something important to consider. Assuming that math is in here correct. Yep, no, that's correct. All right.
Yeah.
Yep. So yeah, perfect.
And that's a CR4 monster, and that's the Boozoos. I really like that thing about the Booz. Like, I would run that monster in just any game.
Oh, yeah.
I love the idea of them just opening up this whiskey bottle, and then it just pours ooze out of it as that tries to envelop them. It's really flavorful.
The next thing is the god of all flumps, the flying spaghetti monster. Mr. Plunderloot, I want to make the flying spaghetti monster. Maybe someday. Maybe.
The flying spaghetti monster. Who knows?
Yeah, I mean, this is a very quintessential, straightforward CR4 beastie. You run this against your level 4 characters. I think this will be a pretty medium encounter. I don't remember exactly what makes a medium encounter, though, so I don't know. I see Max Meister in chat. I wish we could submit monster ideas. Max, we also wish you could submit monsters ideas. In fact, we wish this so much that, Pete, how do you feel about the next time we do this? Maybe having player-submitted monster ideas?
Absolutely. I think that will be the only way to do it in the future is to do player-submitted monster ideas. And we will just make up whatever crazy stuff that y'all come up with. And I don't know if we'll do
feature those creatures, right? In our upcoming games. At least I know.
A featured creature?
A feature creature? A creature feature creature.
I think when we do that, we probably won't do like we did with the Magic Items player submissions, where it was sort of like the full, like you submit like the full completed product, probably like maybe the creature and a short description of what the creature is.
Yeah, maybe like a couple of mechanics if you really have something specific you want it to do. Like, for example, I wanted the Boozoos to do this big AoE splash. You know, that would be the text you would write is, I want it to do a big AoE splash.
Yeah. Just because it would be a little too complicated to actually submit like full stat blocks and and I think that's pretty much going to wrap us up for the night. We're finishing up this one right on time. It's just exactly 11 o'clock. Yeah.
Who would think it would take us 2 hours to make 2 creatures?
The answer is, as always, it's just funny how much longer things take when we do them because we're going through like the process and explaining and going through. Because like I feel like if either me or you made these,
we're
doing
kind of cool ideas from you guys in the chat.
That's true.
There's a lot of awesome flavor, especially flavor in the Boozoos. That like, I don't know, I would have missed. I would have not have thought of an ability name like Veiled Nail.
Veiled Nail.
I wouldn't have thought of the Hangover ability.
I also wouldn't have even thought of.
I don't know. I would have had some overly complicated, like it gets smaller as it gets damaged, and that would have been lame.
I would have done that really scary thing where it tries to drown you with itself, which would have been a little bit much.
A little bit much for the lighthearted Boozoos. Weird food / restaurant themed night. Yeah, really farful. It really is. What a night. Maybe they'll both be featured in a single bar crawl episode of DnD.
Just next time, Remilius checks out the Ooze Booze
City Food and Wine Festival. I am Remilius. Oh no. We gotta stop.
I am Remilius. Is usually how they talk.
I mean, or they can talk really straightforward.
Oh yeah, that's the other one. It's usually the cultists. The cultists do the and the interns do the more straight. Anyway,
yeah, very goofy.
Lost in the weeds right now. Thank you very much to everyone who tuned in and hung out with us and gave us all these incredible ideas and who just made some stuff with us tonight. It was a lot of fun, and we love you very much.
Yeah, and if you love DnDTime, the best way you can support us is letting folks know. The more people who hang out and support us here, the more we can do for you guys. The more we can grow, and the more time I can rationalize spending on DnDTime.
Yeah, I know that feeling.
A lot of time on DnDTime. So it's hard to put more. Oh, Luminarian says don't. I'm sorry, Luminarian, but I gotta work.
I have work weirdly early tomorrow. On the subject of spending more time on DnDTime, on Tuesday, I'm going to be running just a stream by myself where I'm going to tentative title, not tentative title, it's just going to be the title, DnDTime Worlds, where if you like the more creative side of what we do here on Brews and are less into the mechanical, this will be a show for you where along with chat, we're just going to build a whole homebrew world from scratch. We're just going to build a brand new world. I think I titled the document that I was getting ready for it in "A Whole New World," like the Aladdin song. It should be a lot of fun. I have no idea what's actually going to happen or what we're going to do. The production value won't be quite as good as our other stuff, but it should still look pretty good.
Pete, I just got an email. This is amazing. We're being sued by Disney.
I wouldn't be surprised if Disney was that strict that me just saying the words "a whole new world" was enough. But man, there goes our Disney sponsorship that we were gonna get.
And if you don't enjoy watching Pete, well, then you're probably not here because let's be real, you all love watching Pete. So tune in,
and you all love watching Jeremy
on Tuesday.
And that's going to be I forgot to say Tuesday at 9:00 at the same time we started this. Whatever your time zone is.
You gotta say the time zone.
I was going to say whatever time zone you started watching Brews in, it'll be the same time for DnDTime Worlds on Tuesday. So hope to see some people there.
Yeah, and of course DnDTime Talks is going to be next Wednesday. Pete, what's our topic?
We have not picked one. It says undead currently on the announcements, but
that's
maybe we'll just continue the month. Week. If we're going to continue the, wait, is that not a new? Anyway,
not a new announcement. It's a new announcement coming tomorrow.
Frog posted in Discord earlier that. Anyway, regardless, how about humanoids?
Okay, we can talk about humanoids. I'll be okay with that.
Yeah. So we'll be talking about humanoids, I guess, on that day. And maybe we'll change our minds before then if we decide that there's something else that is extremely important, but tentative humanoids.
Yeah. Alrighty. Well, thank you, everyone, for hanging out. For those of you who are excited for Pete and Jeremy's DnDTime, I know next Friday is either going to be a Fable, Myth, or both boss battles.
Some kind of boss battle. Oh my God, both. I never even considered that as a possibility.
Be afraid, Pete. And with that, I'm Jeremy.
And I'm Pete. And this is Pete and Jeremy's DnDTime. Oh, wait.
Pete, you messed it up.
I fucked up so bad.
Take care, everybody.
Good night, everyone.